Hi, this is Michael Tapes. I'm going to show you why one of our customers was having a problem. He was using this as an example as a test case to use WhiBal for white balancing this picture in Photoshop. It's a JPEG picture taken with a Canon S100. It's a JPEG. So the problem with JPEG is that it's 8 bits. And unless you get the white balance very close to begin with, you're not going to have enough data to make the correction. So that's one problem, that if you're shooting JPEG and you're going to correct with WhiBal, or any means of correcting the white balance, you have to be very close. There's just not enough data in the JPEG to adjust it afterwards. That's what RAW is all about. Okay, but let's take some interesting things. One, if you take a look up here in the upper right on the info palette, when I have my cursor over the WhiBal, you'll see that the blue channel is 255. So that's telling you immediately that the blue channel is clipping in this JPEG. Remember, the JPEG's only 8 bits, doesn't have a lot of headroom. You can also see it in the histogram, that looking at the total picture, the blue is off the right of the scale here. That's the line up here in the main histogram, and also the blue here. Now, if I put a marquee on the WhiBal, you'll notice now the histogram is just going to show you the WhiBal. The red, green, and blue should be perfectly aligned if the white balance was correct, and you can see that this is a major shift. The blue channel has to come down, except it's clipped, so it doesn't have enough data to come down, and the red channel is going to have to come up. So this is a pretty big shift. So this picture is never going to be able to be white balanced properly and correctly. Let's take another picture. This one here, and in this case we have a little more headroom. So looking at the cursor, the blue channel is 235, but it's probably clipped in other places, like up here. We're almost clipped, so actually we're okay. We're just about there. Let's take a look at the WhiBal with a marquee, and now we see that we have room to adjust it, but it's still, you know, a relatively severe adjustment. But anyway, no problem. Let's the way to do this is to come up to Filter and go to Camera Raw Filter. You can either select the eyedropper up here in the palette or just shift-click on the WhiBal, and that is the correct white balance, as close as the JPEG is going to allow you. If you look at the RGB numbers up here, when I'm over the WhiBal, you'll see that they're equal at 226. But the problem is that it's just high. So the JPEG, to be honest, this is just the best you can do. But let's bring down the overall exposure after we adjust the white balance, and you'll see that that's a good white balance. Looking here, we're 195, 197, 194. It's, you know, just as close as the JPEG is going to get. Shift clicking on here isn't going to change anything because it's going to the raw data. But in any event, click OK, and now we have a properly white balanced shot here. Let me do one more thing. I'm going to undo this, and this time I'm going to put the marquee in so that we're only going to white balance this square. Let me go up to Filter, Camera Raw Filter, shift click, and you notice how blue the WhiBal is. So we shift click on here, makes it neutral, and we go back, and now that's going to be properly gray. Notice how blue the shift is, and that's a proper white balance, and we just didn't apply it to the entire. So you see, in this case, now you see how these 3 channels are aligned, and if I put a marquee here, that's the difference in the white balance. So I hope that's helpful in terms of using a WhiBal. You got to be very close with the JPEG. This was close enough, but it's just not going to be, you know, as good as RAW. But this is fine as long as you get, you know, don't overexpose. You have to have enough room in the 8-bit channels of the JPEG. Okay, thank you. Michael Tapes signing off.